In the quiet outskirts of Ravenwood, Pennsylvania, a town surrounded by endless pine forests, there was a lonely two-lane highway known as Route 19. Most locals avoided it after midnight, because that was when the radio started talking back. One cold October night, Emily Carter, a 28-year-old paramedic, was driving back from a late shift. The fog was crawling low across the road, and the only sound came from her old car radio playing a country station. Halfway down Route 19, the radio suddenly went silent. Then a voice whispered, "Emily, don't stop the car." Her heart slammed inside her chest. She twisted the dial. Nothing. Only static. The voice returned, clearer. "Emily, whatever happens, keep driving." She looked around. No other cars, no houses, no lights, just endless fog. Then she saw it. A figure standing in the middle of the road. Tall, thin, impossible to see clearly through the mist. Its head slowly tilted sideways, further, until it was almost upside down. Emily slammed the brakes. The voice on the radio roared, "I said don't stop!" The figure charged at her car, impossibly fast. Emily panicked, shifted into reverse, and hit the gas. The creature slammed its hands onto the hood, long fingers leaving scratches like knives. Its face lowered toward the windshield. A pale, stretched smile, eyes like empty sockets. As she reversed wildly, the radio screamed, "Drive to the bridge!" She didn't know why, but she listened. The creature crawled over the roof, tapping, scratching, laughing. Emily pushed the car to its limit, until she reached the old metal bridge near the town. The moment she crossed it, silence. The creature vanished. The radio clicked back to its normal station, as if nothing had happened. Exhausted and shaking, Emily drove home. The next morning, police found 4 deep handprints melted into her hood and scratches all across the roof. But the worst part. When she told her father, a retired sheriff, he went pale and said, "Emily, Route 19 hasn't had a working radio signal for 6 years. "Not since the accident. What accident?" she asked. He swallowed hard. "The one where your mother died, trying to outrun that same creature." "Emily's radio hasn't worked since that night, but sometimes, around 12:03 a.m., she still hears a whisper. Keep driving."
Emily didn't sleep the night after the encounter on Route 19. Every time she closed her eyes, she heard that same whisper, "Emily, keep driving." She thought it was over. She thought the creature disappeared on the bridge. But the horror had followed her home. At 12:03 a.m., her bedroom lamp flickered. Then her radio, the same broken radio she had thrown away, turned on by itself. Soft static filled the room. Then the voice said, "Emily, it's not done with you." Emily sat up in fear. She whispered, "What do you want from me?" A long pause. Then, "To keep you alive." Emily stepped into the hallway. Everything was silent. Then, tap, tap, tap. Slow footsteps moved toward her living room. Emily pointed her phone flashlight forward. The beam trembled in her hand. The footsteps stopped. In the corner of the living room stood a tall shadow, still, silent, its head slightly tilted, as if listening. Emily covered her mouth to stop herself from screaming. The radio behind her whispered urgently, "Don't look at its face." Emily backed away slowly, heart pounding. She grabbed her keys and ran outside. The moment she locked herself inside the car, the radio inside her dashboard turned on. She hadn't touched it. "Drive to the old station on Route 19. Emily shook her head. "Why there?" The voice replied, "You'll find the truth." Fog wrapped around the highway as she drove. Finally, she reached a decaying wooden building, Ravenwood Radio, 96.3 FM. The station her mother once worked at. Inside, dust floated in the air like tiny ghosts. Old equipment sat untouched for years. A rusted microphone rested in the center of the room. The voice whispered, "Touch it." Emily hesitated, then placed her hand on the microphone. A soft, familiar voice came through the static. "Emily, sweetheart, don't be afraid." Emily gasped, "Mom?" The voice weakened, fading in and out. "It's coming back, and it wants you this time." "You must run!" Emily spun around. A shadow moved at the door. Slow, stretching, entering the room. The voice whispered one last time, "Emily, run." and she did. Emily sprinted out of the abandoned radio station, her breath sharp and fast. Behind her, the shadowy figure stepped deeper into the room, its shape bending unnaturally, as if listening, waiting. Emily jumped into her car and locked the doors. Her hands shook as she started the engine. The radio flickered on instantly. A soft voice whispered, "Emily, don't go home." She swallowed hard. Then where am I supposed to go? There was a long, static-filled pause. Then, stay where the light is. As she drove back onto Route 19, every streetlight suddenly went out. One by one, left, right, behind her. Only her car's headlights remained. The fog thickened, twisting like shapes moving on their own. Emily gripped the wheel tightly. "Idio, Emily, it's following you." Her heart dropped. In her rearview mirror, she saw a shape. Tall, still. Standing in the road she had just driven over. She pressed the accelerator harder. The radio crackled loudly. Then, out of nowhere, a woman's voice filled the car speakers. Clear and calm. "This is 96.3 FM, emergency broadcast." Emily froze. It was her mother's voice. The radio continued. "To anyone who can hear this, the creature cannot cross bright light. Stay inside lit areas. Do not let it hear your fear." Emily whispered, "Mom, how are you doing this?" The voice answered, "I never left. Part of me stayed inside the station the day I died." Emily felt tears rise, but she blinked them back. The voice softened. "Emily, it wants you because you escaped, because you listened." Up ahead, Emily saw the town of Ravenwood, quiet, dark, asleep. But one place still had lights on, the old fire station, bright floodlights shining across the front lot. The radio whispered, "Go there, hurry." Emily turned sharply toward it. Just as she reached the lights, a shadow slammed onto the side of her car. But the instant the car rolled into the bright floodlight, the shadow vanished, as if burned away by the glow. Emily stumbled out, shaking. An older police officer stepped outside the fire station, confused. "Officer, ma'am, are you all right?" "What happened to your car?" Emily opened her mouth to explain, but the radio in her car spoke again. "Don't tell him. It won't help him, and it will put him in danger." Emily hesitated. The officer frowned. "Officer, miss, did someone attack you?" Emily forced a shaky breath. I just need to stay in the light." The officer didn't understand, but he nodded slowly. "Officer, you can stay here till morning." Inside the bright station, Emily sat on a bench, exhausted. Her car radio was silent for the first time in hours. But just as she closed her eyes, the fire station lights flickered. Emily stood up fast. "What do I do now?" The voice answered quietly, "You're not running anymore. It's time to finish this." Emily swallowed hard. "Finish it how?" The voice whispered, almost sadly, "By going back to the station." Emily stared at the radio. Back to the abandoned Ravenwood radio station. The place where her mother's voice lived. The place where the creature started. The place she feared the most. Emily whispered, "Okay," and the lights flickered again. Emily stood outside the abandoned Ravenwood radio station once again. The building looked darker than before, as if it was waiting for her. The radio in her car crackled softly. "Emily, this is where it ends." She swallowed hard. "You said that before." The voice replied gently, "This time, you're not alone." Emily stepped inside. The door closed behind her on its own. The room filled with low static, spreading through the walls like a heartbeat. Old equipment flickered to life. Lights turned on, one by one. The microphone at the center desk slowly lowered, as if inviting her. The radio whispered, "Speak into it." Emily hesitated, then leaned forward. Emily quietly, "My name is Emily Carter, and I'm not afraid anymore." The static screamed. From the far corner of the room, the shadow appeared. Taller than before, clearer. Its head tilted slowly, reacting to her voice. But it didn't attack, it listened. The radio spoke urgently. It feeds on silence and fear. Emily's hands trembled. "Then why does it want me?" The voice answered, "Because you survived. And survivors can end it." The microphone crackled. Her mother's voice came through clearly for the first time. "Mother. Emily. I trapped it here the night I died. I used the broadcast to hold it between signals. Emily's eyes filled with tears. Emily, you stayed in for me? Mother, for everyone, but it's grown stronger. It needs a new voice now. Emily froze. You mean me? A pause, then softly, only for a moment. Lights across the station glowed brighter. The shadow backed away slightly. The radio whispered, "Read the emergency script." A paper slid out of the printer, yellowed, old. Emily picked it up. Her voice shook as she spoke into the microphone. "This is Ravenwood Radio, 96.3 FM. If you can hear this, stay in the light. Do not stop. Do not answer the voice unless it calls your name." The shadow shrieked silently, stretching toward the walls. The station shook. Emily held on. The radio whispered urgently, "Emily, you must finish the broadcast." She looked at the shadow, then at the microphone, then whispered, "I'm ready." The lights burst brighter than ever. Static exploded through the room, and everything went silent. Morning light streamed through the station windows. The building was quiet. The equipment was dead. Emily stood alone. Her radio sat dark and silent. Then, a final whisper echoed faintly. "Thank you. Keep living." Emily stepped outside into the sunlight. For the first time, Route 19 was quiet.
When the signal went silent, morning sunlight filled the abandoned Ravenwood radio station. Emily stepped outside, blinking against the light. For the first time in years, Route 19 was silent. No fog, no whispers, no static. She got into her car. The radio didn't turn on. Scene 1, life after the signal. Days passed, then weeks. Emily returned to work as a paramedic. She drove Route 19 in daylight, expecting fear to return. But it didn't. The bridge felt normal. The road felt empty. The nightmare was over. Or so she thought. Scene 2, the last tape. One afternoon, a package arrived at Emily's apartment. No return address. Inside was an old cassette tape labeled 96.3 FM Final Log. Her hands trembled as she placed it into an old player. Static filled the room. Then her mother's voice spoke clear and calm. "Mother, recording. If you're hearing this, Emily, then it worked." Emily's eyes filled with tears. Scene 3, the truth. The tape continued. "Mother, the creature fed on fear and silence. The broadcast trapped it between signals, but only while someone stayed behind." Emily sat down slowly. "Mother, I didn't die running. I stayed so you could live," Emily whispered. "I know, Mom." Scene 4, the warning. The tape crackled one last time. "Mother, Emily, listen carefully. If the radio ever turns on again, it means someone else is in danger." The tape clicked off. Silence. Final scene, 1 year later. 1 year later. Emily was driving at night, not on Route 19, but on a different road. Her car radio suddenly crackled. Emily froze. Then she heard a frightened voice, not her mother's, a stranger's voice at Radio Week. "Hello? Is anyone there?" Emily took a deep breath. She turned the volume up and spoke. "Emily, this is Emily. Stay calm, stay in the light, and don't stop driving." The radio went silent. Emily stared at the road ahead. Somewhere, the signal was starting again. But this time, it had a new guardian.